Hi, I'm Brittney King.
And I'm Lisset King, and welcome to Honest Feedback. We are a podcast here for you. We're here to answer any questions you might have about life, relationships, money, parenting, etc. We are here to be of service to any of the questions you have. And if we don't have your answer, we got experts that do.
Yes.
And we're really excited. We have an expert coming on today. And people like to call us specifically because, first of all, my amazing, brilliant wife is a pleasure priestess. Yeah. And you've got an event coming up.
I do. Y'all, I'm coming out. You know that song?
Yes.
I have an amazing event that's starting this week, November 28th. It is a free online event for those who identify as women, and it is called I Am Sexy, Reclaim Your Inner Confidence. And I'm so excited to be sharing my gifts with the world in this new way. And I cannot wait. And I'm very excited to see all of you in attendance. And Lisette is going to share some of her magic in this container. So on night 1, she is going to do some mental emotional release with us all on shame.
Yeah, I'm really excited. Shame. Yeah, it's a big emotion, and it's something that a lot of you were sharing women feel around their sensuality. Yeah. So I'm excited to help people let that shit go.
Yes.
You want to let that go? Come on down on Monday.
Yes, come on down.
We're going to let it go.
Lisette is great at helping people let things go. I feel like one of the many reasons people come to you is because you're just amazing with understanding the mind and the subconscious mind. She is a trainer and master practitioner of neuro-linguistic programming, hypnotherapy, and mental emotional release. So that, and you have great hair and a winning smile. Between all those, I think people... that's why they come to you.
Probably.
Yeah.
More likely than not the hair, though.
I think that's the number one reason.
Because it's full of secrets.
You could trust someone with good hair.
It's true. Uh-huh. If they care that much, they're going to care about you. Anyway, and today, what are we going to talk about?
It's getting existential, y'all. We're going to talk about balance and duality. Why would we want to talk about this?
Well, does anyone ever feel like they're just having trouble humaning? Yeah. Oh my God. I know I do. Mm-hmm. I'm what are these hands? You ever feel like what exactly? Just what the fuck is life? What is existence? Who knows? Who could even know? Yeah. So we are here to help people human. There's some people that are just like feeling divided, not knowing where to put their energy, if they're feeling like a holy...
divided.
Yeah.
Which hands are superior?
Yeah, which hands are superior?
For those who can't see, I have on a hot dog hand. See the reference of everything, everywhere, all at once.
Yeah, definitely.
Immediately.
Definitely. If you haven't seen that, get on it already. It'll change your entire perspective about life. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but like feeling divided of like, I know I'm this magical spiritual being, or I have to do my taxes. Like, it's like, how does one balance the two? How do you live in this, I can do anything and I really have to do these things, you know? So it's finding that balance. We really want to help people do that. Or have you ever been super hard and critical on yourself? Mm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And you're like, I really think I should take the next 6 weeks off. Yeah. Yeah. And you don't quite know how to find the balance and harmony within that. We're here to help people today. So we phoned a friend. Yeah. Because I have a buddy who I love having existential conversations with. Mm-hmm. My friend Thomas Wurm is another wonderful master practitioner of NLP, MER, hypnosis, and also does Huna, and he's just incredible. I've worked with him. He's magnificent, and we can geek out on existentialism all day long.
Yay. Well, let's call him.
Let's give him a call. But first, if you would just like, subscribe, share, follow, comment, do all the things that help, our little podcast grow. Because we're here, we're enjoying making this thing, and we want to keep making it. We want to get out there and get that reach. So if you do that, we'll give Thomas a call right now.
Yes.
Hello, Thomas. So great to have you with us.
Hello, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to come on the show with you all.
Yeah. Thomas and I met at a Huna workshop in Hawaii. We were pretty much at Hogwarts for adults. It was awesome.
Yes, that's right. Like, I just remember seeing you for the first time, like, that person seems amazing. I'm gonna have to talk to her. And we're like best friends now.
Totally.
Yes.
Yeah.
I got to go to my first Huna, but can you tell others who have not been to Huna and are not Hunatics a little bit about it?
Yeah, it's like Hogwarts for adults.
That is right. It's seriously.
That's right.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
That nails it.
Yes.
Yes.
You're not wrong, but for people with like more details, I'll put a link in the show notes.
Yeah, there you go. I'll give you a link in the show notes for real. Yeah, and Thomas is just an incredible human. He does a lot of what I do. He's an NLP master practitioner, does mental emotional release, hypnosis, as well as Huna. And he's just a badass. Also, you work specifically with firemen. Do you want to tell people about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was with the Forest Service for 15 years as a wildland firefighter. And so I really focused on giving back to that community and giving back in mental health and giving wildland firefighters breakthrough sessions and working with them so they can get back to the line when there's a lot of things in our community with PTSD and suicide. And so it's just such a amazing way to give back.
It's very beautiful. Thomas is very great at what he does. I've had breakthroughs with both of them. They're both incredible. So you don't have to be a firefighter to work with Thomas, just so everyone knows. And if you are someone who has faced something on the front lines, definitely hit up your boy. So,
he's an incredible practitioner.
Yes.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Awesome. And today we're going to help a couple callers that are having, I wouldn't call it an existential crisis so much as like really asking how to human.
How does one
human? When, there's so much going on inside, So we thought Thomas would be perfect for that.
Yes.
We geek out on existentialism.
That's right. We've been there. These questions are amazing, and I'm pretty sure all three of us have been there. So I'm so excited for this.
Awesome. Let's jump into caller number 1.
Hey, this is Alex Hall. Hi, Lisset and Bree. My question is, how can I live on both spectrums in regards to duality of living my life, the normal everyday life, having a job, keeping in touch with family, and also being a divine God that I am, and that we all are. I've noticed that to be a struggle, and I love you both very much. Thank you so much for this.
Oh my gosh.
I love how I became Bree. I love you, Alex.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah, Thomas, you want to start us off?
I think, this is such a beautiful question. It's so powerful and so important. And to me, I really think this comes back to like rhythms and cycles and dichotomies. And what I mean by rhythms and cycles, we're going to have to get pretty deep on this, like for real. This is a really, really deep question. And to me, I think as he's saying, we've all come from divine light. We've all come from source. We've all come from God, however we describe that, as if we're a drop of rain coming out of the cloud, right? We're a drop of consciousness, but also all consciousness in one drop, right? The fractalness of our universe. And I think what's so amazing is that we leave source and come down to be a human to forget that we are part and wholly that source. And so this separation, this illusion that we're separate or that we're human, it's really that. It's an illusion. And I think in a sense where it's a cycle, as when we're coming down as a drop of rain and coming right back up into the clouds, right? There's this rhythm of cycle from source down to human, and human, we got to remember that we're part of source, and it creates this rhythm and cycle. And also in this spiritually, quantum physically, that's a funny word, in quantum physics. Yeah. Spiritually in quantum physics, right? There's this idea of infinite possibilities, there's infinite possibilities all the time in superposition. And what I think the caller is talking about is being a divine being and being human and coexisting with that. And I think that's such a beautiful thing. That's something, the fact that he's remembered that he's a divine being. Congratulations, brother. Yes, you're right. Now it's learning to be a human too. And that can be really, really hard. And so I just encourage the caller to really find the sacredness, the sacredness and the love within himself, to fully accept that you are a divine being, and also sing it in your brothers and sisters. Because I think when our caller allows himself to see in others, he'll truly allow himself to feel it inside. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yes, that's beautiful.
Yeah. One of the things that I love about him is just that he's like, I want to be.
Keep talking.
Oh, sorry. she touched me and I got distracted. I was like, did I not say something? Sorry, my flow stopped. Where was I? Okay. Yeah. So, one thing I love about this caller is this awareness. Not everyone gets to that point, and I do believe a grand awakening happening. Everyone is finding the God within. And as we do this, like there's this separation or this loneliness that comes from that. They're just going, I'm a God. I'm a human. And then living in the balance of, how do I bring the divine to the day-to-day task? How do I be the God? And I think the best way to do that is to just bring excellence to the everyday practice. When you're going to work, just bring that sacredness to that moment. Bring that sacredness to the interactions you have with your partner, your family, your friends. And then, remembering that you're God in the moments of breath, of just breaking it down to the most minute thing, the most precious thing that we have from the moment to moment basis, our breath, and remembering the God that we are breathing in and exhaling that source in that moment.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
When you say bring the excellence to the mundane, what do you mean by excellence?
Excellent. Well, thank you for asking that.
Mm-hmm.
I believe excellence comes from presence. The more present we are, the more we can bring that holiness, that godlike presence to what we're doing. What if, let's say your job is being a mechanic, this is the most sacred work in this moment, connecting with my mother, like, wow, you are the person who, like, I came through your vessel, and being in that moment of seeing the majesty will allow you to act in that way that is excellent and present and kind and loving. And I think in the ultimate, these are my own beliefs, but the ultimate existence of God is love. So how do you represent as that love in the moment?
Wonderful. Wonderful. Oh, those are all the things. I deeply felt compassion for Alex and being in the space of the awakening, because I definitely remember my before, and it was cold out there. It was lonely. There was depression. There were all these things where the separateness was very palpable. And then that remembering that you are connected to source, that you are source, is can be so impactful. And what I learned from that experience was holding more than one truth in my hand. So holding that we are God and we're here having a human experience. So I'm not going to deny my humanity, but I'm also not going to forsake my godliness. And I'm going to honor this. I recently changed my Instagram name to Goddess Brittney King. It felt right. It felt in my truth and in celebration that I'm not the only goddess. We are all gods and goddesses in this world. And having this more of this knowing of ourselves, it made mythology classes make a lot more sense. Before I was like, why are all these gods and goddesses running around all jealous and crazy? And it was like, oh, me, you know? They might have just had a more of a connection in the story of like, yeah, all of us humans are actually connected to source and having a human experience.
Yeah. And I want to go back a little bit too. I think the yin and yang symbol really describes this. And to me, the yin and yang represents like the sacred duality, or the duality of man is what we're talking about, as I've had it described. And I think to me, like we see inside the yin yang, like the hot, cold, the night, day, but within each side, the deepest core is actually the opposite. And it goes back to this pendulum swinging, or this dichotomy. But what unites, what unifies the yin yang is actually the circle, or the circle of life. And I think that's the most sacred teaching of all of the spiritualities in the world, or quantum physics, or which way you want to go, is that reverence, that sacredness, that humility, that love, and just love for life, because we're so blessed to be breathing, like you said, like the breath, the life, the circle of life, and who we are. And it just, to me, it's all about the circle of life.
Yeah.
I just noticed how many circles are surrounding you in this current moment. Right behind your head, there's like concentric circles. Yeah, circles are everything.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Alex, it's a real deep question, brother.
Mm-hmm.
And we hope we scratched the surface of it.
Well, I mean, I want to just throw in some things. How would you two, as practitioners, like help someone with like any kind of action tools of like holding both truths in their hands, or like navigating this? Like if someone's like, how do I 3D something? As far as this.
Yeah.
I think really it comes down to looking at each side, like what's the purpose, what's the intention of being a divine being, what's the purpose, what's the intention of being a human, and really getting at a higher level of thinking on both sides until there's a union of opposites, right? Like a union of ideas that unify. It's almost like the top of a triangle, right? Or equilateral triangle, the very top. What is that unifying idea? It's probably going to be love, or something, some version of that, right? And so really it comes down to being unified in wholeness and oneness with love. And I think bringing that into your life, how can you have that presence, that consciousness of oneness and love in just about everything you do? That's the sacredness of humanness.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
What he said.
Yeah.
Well, something that we practice in our work is a meditation known as a Keave meditation. And you use it when those parts are in conflict. And my question, Alex, is, are these parts in conflict? Is the normal everyday life you bumping up against the divine you? And in which case you can recreate that dichotomy. You can bring that in and recreate a new dichotomy that's more whole or in balance for you. And so it's just a matter of turning inward, meditating into the darkness, and bringing something new into the light and choosing that. Because the truth is that harmony exists in every moment. We're just not necessarily seeing it. With what we can see with our eyes, the checks and balances may not always add up. Yet I do believe that there's absolute harmony everywhere. And so you're just perhaps not seeing the harmony that's already there. And I invite you to, what's a new creation you can make? What's a new dichotomy you can live within? Because they are of your creation. There are some that are above our pay grade, night and dark and night and day, hot and cold, wet and dry. Those are pretty much created outside of us. However, any perceptions we have from the internal can be recreated to something that's more empowered. Like a lot of dichotomies are man-made, feast or famine. There's not everyone lives in that dichotomy. So there's a lot of power in knowing which ones am I creating and which ones are those that are created outside of me that I am to bow down to and honor.
Could I go a little bit deeper? Is that okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
I feel like there's this, I heard this saying really recently, and it really stuck with me, of that, there's the power of creation, like you're talking about, Lisset, like there's hot, cold, night, day, sacred, humanity, these kinds of dichotomies that are universal. And then there's things like you're saying we perceive. I really love the word we make these, because I feel like there's not as much power in the things that we're making, because it's really just a twist of the mind, right? It's just a perception that's hiding the truth. And I think what you're like, I just want to take a little bit deeper and get your thoughts on this, of like, we make, or we think, or we perceive so many dichotomies in our life. So many. Like, I got to do this or that. It's got to be either or. And it's really, oh my gosh, like 99% of the time, it's actually both. And that's where I think the real creation comes from, and not so much making these thought forms that are really just, it's hiding the truth from us. You know what I mean?
I love that there's been a surge of conversation about the metaverse recently, because I feel like the metaverse, especially as they're showing it in movies now, it's opening people's mind to, it isn't this or that, it's both. And they're just existing. They're just existing, and there's space for everything to exist. And how can we be more allowing of everything existing?
Yeah. And I think it goes back to the idea of coexisting, of this vibration here and this vibration here, where it's like we know we're this sacred being. We also know that we're a human, and allowing those two waves of energy to exist at the same time, like that takes practice. And I think that's what our caller's talking about, is that coexistence of who we are.
Yeah. I find giving each personality a space and time, like my God doesn't really necessarily want to do the taxes.
Yep.
It's like, can you handle that on the conscious level? And so I bring my conscious mind to the day-to-day tasks, the what's necessary, what we need to do to keep us alive. And then my meditative space is where I give my divine the space to reign, to create, to touch in and sit with the sacredness of breath, to sit with the sacredness of the void. Yeah.
I feel for me, it's when I'm being of service and sharing my gifts. That is when I'm like, conscious mind, you can take a real backseat. I am letting my God shine and flow through, because I am connected to that source knowledge, that universal knowledge, the knowledge that created the rising of the sun. Like, that is who is leading to guide others.
I can relate.
Yep, absolutely. Step aside, Thomas, because here comes the light. You know what I mean?
Yes.
That's right.
And it takes time. Well, it doesn't have to, but in my experience, it took some time to feel into the balance of like when I can take my consciousness and give more space for my God and for the channeling, for the light to step forward and be true. And I have found this to be definitely a practice in times of conflict or hardship. When my most human, the most petty, wants to be like, I got this. I got it. Don't you worry. I will take this. And allowing those spaces to really be this place where I'm in the active practice of being the light, letting my light shine. Because those to me have been the opportunities that have really made the 1 degree shift in my life.
Yeah.
Yep.
This is so good. All right, we have another caller.
Should we?
Yes,
Should we handle that
let's
call?
it.
dive in.
Do
Let's
it.
dive in. Yes,
Because
okay.
we can actually go like 3 more episodes on this question.
Yeah.
All right, let's go.
Hey, I guess I don't know if we're doing names, but I'll just say my name. I'm Zach, and I wanted to ask you both a question about balance, because I've been thinking about balance lately and trying to form some good habits. And my question is kind of about the balance of the self, in that I've definitely had a hard time in my life balancing not being hard on myself, but I've had a hard time being like a good cop and a bad cop for myself. I've had times where I've been so hard on myself that it was really damaging. And I've had times where I've been so easy on myself that it was also damaging. So I guess my question to both of you is, how can I find balance between the two and not be so hard on myself, whether it comes to, my career or my relationships or just my inner voice, but also find a way to always be challenging myself to be better. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Zach.
Mm-hmm. That was big.
Wow, such a beautiful question. So this is another really deep question. Like, this is going to take a little bit to unpack, I think. And for me, I think the biggest thing is being a like good cop or bad cop with yourself. What I'm hearing immediately is really, it's coming from a space of maybe self-judgment, of judging others, or there's even good and bad as a label. Like, I would even challenge that, like, maybe that's a label that somebody gave you. What does that even mean? What does that label even mean to you, being a good cop or a bad cop? And I think what's even beyond that is accepting yourself. And because I think it's actually, again, a dichotomy of actually judging yourself versus accepting yourself. And I think accepting and really stepping into self-love, I think that will be so helpful. And again, what's actually the unifying idea that would dissolve this idea of good and bad? And it always comes back to love somehow, some way, right? Like, what's the highest level of thinking that actually goes beyond good and bad, but who do you really want to be? And I think there's a part of you that sounds like it's resisting something, and there's a part of you that wants to accept something. And that dichotomy, it's stemming from maybe, like, where are you not feeling good enough in your life? And really, it's like, it's all love, brother. It's all love. Like, how can you love yourself? How can you move throughout your day in love? Like, not just in love, but I mean, like, in love with your life, like in love with your job, in love with the people around you, like being in love, not just with your partner, but like in life. That's the way we should be living. And it's not good or bad. It's just how can we step into our light? So I think it goes way beyond good and bad, and really how can you see yourself being in love with yourself? Yeah.
Yeah, I just think, let's take the policing out of how we manage ourselves. It definitely feels like, Thomas, we study in our work this energy of away and toward. And I think that seems to be a bit of his driving force, is like, well, I want to be hard on myself, because if I'm not, then I'll go too easy on myself. And it's just this, like, it becomes this yo-yo of back and forth between two beings you don't want to be, because you're trying to get away from this good self and you're trying to get away from this bad self, where instead is like, what if you're being pulled toward the highest vision of yourself? Like, what if there's something beautifully magnificent, driving you toward something, and you wake up because you want to be that person. Like I have this model, like I believe it, and I have installed it as a belief that my last day on the planet, it will be my best day on the planet, because I choose to always be the best version of myself and grow. And not every day is sunshine and roses. There are hard days. It's how I meet that day. And did I learn something from this day? Am I better from it? The challenge does come from the outside. It's not like there's enough challenge out there to be a hard critic on yourself. And when you're going after what you want, when you're being pulled toward your vision, I feel like the challenge is going to come either way. It's just the challenges you want to go get past, go through, so that when you're living in your values, when you're being pulled toward your vision, the challenges are worth meeting and you grow through them.
That's beautiful.
Yep.
When he spoke, what came up to me is about our inner critics and this voice that runs around in our head. And, you know, there's a lot of talk of like, how do you get your inner critic to be nicer to you and like, you know, talk to yourself like your friend. And I do believe those are all valid ways of interacting with that voice. But I got a beautiful reframe the other day that I'd love to share, where a lot of times our inner critic is modeled after like an authoritarian disciplinarian. And we're modeling, this is how you keep people in line. It is like the army and you have to do this and it has to be hard and it has to be this way. And instead of maybe like installing this discipline, what if we allowed ourselves to be in devotion? And what does that kind of space open up? If like you're in devotion to your higher self, you're in devotion to the things that you're creating and creating a loving relationship with the things that you're moving towards, as opposed to like, I need to be disciplined to finish my book. I'm in devotion of sharing my wisdom with the world to inspire, you know, whatever the thing is that you are moving towards, and allowing this to be a devotional lovership that is pulling you forward.
Oh, I love it so much. So much good stuff. So much good stuff. And I want to bounce off Lisset a little bit, if that's okay. And like you said, the move away from and the move toward energy. This is so interesting because we'll see this show up in life where we're gaining a whole bunch of momentum. Things are going really well, and it's just like as soon as we feel comfortable, or it's like, yeah, life is pretty all right, we crash. Like, it could be in weight, it could be in career, it could be money. Like there's so many ways it shows up, but that's a key. Like if this is showing up for you, like this is a key insight to look at, because it's really like there's an away from motivation. And like Lissette's saying, if we switch our motivation from away from and we really focus on what we really, really want, like there is no more policing, there is no cop. It's just like, this is what I'm doing with my life. And there's so much conviction and drive and devotion. It's just like, that's what's going to happen. And your life is going to change dramatically because you're going towards something and not being pulled, you know, back and forth. And it really comes down to that move away and move toward energy.
Yeah, totally. Thomas, are you familiar with John DeMartini's work?
I'm not.
Oh, he's fantastic. He has this whole thing about there's a big honoring of the duality. You know, just like you can't separate the positive from the negative of a magnet. It's noticing that all those things exist in the same moment, and maximum growth happens at the edge of support and challenge. So it's important to have parents that challenge you to be better and yet support you on your path. And he says the easier you have it at home, the balance and harmony of the universe will make things more challenging for you out in the world, because we're always seeking balance, and it's always seeking growth and expansion. So if there isn't enough pressure going on, you will find a place where pressure exists so that you can get to the next level. Now I'm like jumping metaphors. But, so it's almost like what it takes for a chick to pop out of the egg is this toxic smell, right? It becomes so horrendously awful inside the inside of an egg that the chick has to start pecking its way out. So right when it thinks that it's over, right when it thinks that the end is happening, it pecks its way through to the world, And so honoring where the challenges are outside and seeing them as, forging you into becoming who you're meant to be.
Mhm.
So I invite Zach to, you can put the hammer down. When you're going toward what you want, there will be enough challenge out there for you to become who you want to become.
Mm-hmm.
So find where the support, find where the challenge is within so that you can lean into your next greatest growth.
Yeah. Mm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful. I love it. I think the one thing I wanted to leave for this caller is what came to mind is there's an amazing book by Louise Hay. It's called Mirror Work. And it's a 21-day challenge of meditation and actually looking yourself in the eyes in the mirror and telling you, I love you. Like really going through it, going deep into the mirror work. And it's such a powerful experience to really sit with yourself for 21 days, in the mornings for a minute or two and do these meditations and read the book because it really, when you look at yourself in the mirror, like in your eyes, like that is powerful and you'll know what's going on. Like you'll feel it. And it's just to really accept yourself. Like I think that's such a beautiful, beautiful book.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Great.
I've had very powerful experiences doing mirror work, and there's nothing like it when you really witness the masks coming down and the walls melting away and connecting with your own truth and then showing love there. It's beautiful. Does anybody have any last thoughts?
Yeah, just to wrap it up, Zach, in a nice little package. Love, self-love, acceptance. It's okay to, instead of calling it being easy on yourself, see it as supporting yourself, as being kind to yourself on your journey. And with the, bad cop, reframing that to challenge, like be your own greatest challenger, always be pushing toward something and bring that toward energy to your life. Make something beautifully big outside of you for you to move toward so that you can grow, and know that challenges are going to come with that, and allow the challenges to make you who you're meant to be. And we'll include the link to that Louise Hay book in the show notes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Did anybody else want to add anything?
Copy paste what she said.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, well, this was so fantastic. Thomas, thank you so much for being with us and answering questions. Would you love to share with people where they can find you, how they can listen to your podcast?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can find me at mountainmindtricks.com or Mountain Mind Tricks on Instagram. And my podcast is Conscious Fire Culture. And so we really focus on bringing alternative healing, whatever that looks like, to wildland firefighters. So we bring in a lot of coaches, acupuncturists, like people that work with energy, plant medicine, just like kind of a full spectrum of just if it's alternative, we want to talk about it and bring it to wildland firefighters. So we go really deep. So it's a fun podcast.
Fantastic. It's a great podcast. Everyone should listen. And now that you know 2 NLP practitioners for those who are looking for that kind of support, it's amazing. Could not recommend it more. So thank you, Thomas, for being with us, and we so appreciate it.
Thank you.
Bye.
You.
Wow. Thomas.
Yeah.
I fucking love that guy.
He's great. He's great.
We can geek out for a long time.
Y'all, it could have been an easily 5-hour episode.
It's true.
Had I not been about the time.
And I'd just like to add one more point to your point.
Yeah.
Love that guy. And thank you, Zach and Alex, for giving us such potent questions that we were able to dig deep on. And for anyone else that has any questions, you can give us a call and we can answer your questions at 971-895-4111.
Yeah, we are so happy to be answering your questions. Thank you all for your love and support. And until next time, be honest with each other.
Yeah.